Yeah, I'll get that.
Yeah, I'll bring it back. Yes, I will do that. Yeah. Yes.
Those of you curious, this is where the Zoom is, so that's why she's waiting on TV.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Father Hal Rourke, and I'm the Episcopal priest here at the Church of the Good Shepherd. And on behalf of all of us, we want to welcome you here to this celebration of the life of Gerard McKeown. There are a number of people that have traveled quite a way to be here. We want to recognize them and welcome them in a very special way. And I'm thinking of Shelley and Maddie and Breslin and Gina and Linda and Tom, who I got to meet this morning. And we're so glad you're here. We're glad all of you are here. And the family wants you to know that there will be a celebration, continued celebration afterwards in our parish hall. And please all are welcome to attend. There'll be a number of songs and some prayers, and as always, feel free to respond in a way that is authentic to your own sense of self and spirituality. With that, let us begin the opening musical offering on page 3 of our service leaflet.
Please be seated. Thank you for that fabulous music. At this time, Terrence Gerard is going to read If I Should Die by Joyce Grenfell. And Terrence and Gerard and Thad were known as the triplets beginning in kindergarten.
I was the younger brother by a full month. When I first was asked to do the reading, obviously I was honored, and Thad sent me a poem. And after reading it, I could not believe a more appropriate poem for Gerard to say to us. If I should go before the rest of you, break not a flower, nor inscribe a stone, nor when I'm gone speak in the Sunday voice, but be your usual selves that I have known. Weep if you must, parting is hell, but life goes on, so sing as well.
Gerard's cousin Bridget O'Brien wrote a poem for today, and unfortunately, because of the weather, she's not here with us. But David Savinsky, who is Nellie O'Brien's partner, is going to read it for us.
Nothing Ordinary, a poem by Bridget O'Brien. Nothing ordinary. Ordinary days become cherished memories. Riding a tricycle, riding a bike. Clam dip, big roast beef, laughs at Sunday dinners. Always smiling with sparkling eyes, singing, dancing, calling me Poopsie. I mailed Sal's pizza to California. Grand stories, masquerades. The real you was always there. Ordinary phone call becomes a last goodbye. A confirmation of our connection. A rose, never ordinary after you've left, is extraordinary. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for liking the moldy pizza. Thank you for the phone call. Thanks for the rose. None of it is ordinary.
Well, I think it's my job to make it all safe. But you're saying the first song, so I have to hope. This is a beautiful song, the date, and it's so powerful and graceful. So beautiful. We've been through so much as an extended family, and I know we're all abroad. I like what you said, Terrence, that we should sing It was hard because being is so emotional. I don't know how I'm gonna get through this, so it's so perfect. These guys have promised to fill in. Tell me a lot easier, more than I expect. Here are golden tones that you can sing at home, that's what Richard and everybody's streaming. Oh, and no excuses. It's a good one.
Gerard's siblings, Morgan, Mary Adele, better known as Doc, and Thad will deliver eulogies.
Hi, everybody. First of all, just thanks so much for being here. I think you all know what it means to us. And you're in for a treat because all three of us are talking up, probably here I go, bossy, bitchy, youngest, but definitely favorite sister. I'll probably be the longest, but whatever, here we go. I said to Thad, after we came back from our beautiful services in Chicago, and then there were three of us. But I need to correct that right now. There were four of us, and there will always be four of us. Gerard will always be a part of us, and we will always be a part of him, whether we like it or not. That was a joke. I think our wonderful and loving parents who gave selflessly of themselves and created our family within the family. We were raised with love and respect. If I had to redo my childhood all over again, I wouldn't change a thing, because you look around this room and beyond, and that's what you witness, and beyond, and you witness what my upbringing brought to me. Priceless. A friend wrote to me after Gerard's death and said, "Our siblings are our first friends." It's hard to lose your sibling, one of those first friends, harder than I ever thought it would be. There is an incredibly strong bond that is difficult to lose, no matter how close or far apart we are with those siblings. I cannot imagine how much more difficult it is to lose that bond for Thaddeus as his twin and truly his best friend. I have been struggling these last months over the deaths of Gerard and Kelly. Gerard and Kelly, Kelly and Gerard, their names will forever be emblazoned in my mind together. It wasn't always that way in their lives, but it certainly seems that it will be that way in their deaths for me. Both so young, their deaths so sudden and so tragic, and they both had so much for which to live. So as I've been trying to find ways to feel better and deal with my grief, of course, with the help of others, who do you think has helped me the most? No surprise, really, but it is our beautiful and wise Kelly, whose life touched me since the day she was born and continues to do so. Her son Jason posted a most beautiful story about her on Instagram, and Joey shared it with all of us in his eulogy. Jason's post said Kelly's last words to him as he was walking out the door that tragic day were, "Have fun." I can just see her saying it with her beautiful big eyes and her sparkling smile. Jason's post went on to say, and I hope I get this right, that he would now live every day of his life, and he was only 14, living up to his mother's last words to him. Peter always says it to me too. I'm going up to a closing, he'll say, "Have fun." I get so annoyed. But I should have fun even at a closing. So it is my new mantra. Another person who helped me was Shelley. We were texting at Christmas. I said, "I think about Gerard all the time." And she said, "Me too. But I've been trying really hard to focus on the good memories." So I've been trying to do that too. Focus on the good memories where we had fun. And there's one thing I think we can all agree on about Gerard. He sure had fun. He was always smiling. So now you have to indulge me for a few minutes on my brief trip down memory lane with him. One of my mother's favorite stories was Gerard, when he was about 2 years old, rode his tricycle down a double yellow line on Greenwich Avenue. She used to say that Gerard would climb in my playpen and throw all the toys out, and Morgan would put them all back in. Of course, he was one of our American cousins. Yes, those of you who don't know, we were a little band, Nellie, Maggie, Thad, Gerard, and I. We played at several different functions. Our claim to fame, our hit song was "This Land Is Your Land." And we wore red, white, and blue, yes, okay, outfits. But we beat those Dan Ambrose sisters for the first time in many years. Terrence gets it. His years with Stepanak, of course, we visited him a lot in Georgetown. Bridget, wherever you are, came one New Year's Eve and Roar drank champagne at midnight out of her bloody gold slipper. She had a bad blister. Sorry if that's too much information. Chippy, Debbie, Mitchell, Peter, and I hopped in the car one New Year's Eve again from Christopher's, a local bar, and drove straight to Georgetown. He was working at the 3rd edition. There was a huge long line. We walked in like VIPs. He had a dog named a chocolate lab that time named Thaddeus. He was a beautiful dog. We had so much fun. We moved a friend to Georgetown one year, and Peter had the company box truck. We waited for Gerard to get off work, and he drove home and almost fell asleep at the wheel. But I woke him up just in time. I don't know what we were thinking. We had a great time at the zoo in DC. Peter and I drove with him from LA up to the pig farm in San Luis Obispo, where his company was based. And we met his favorite pig, Louise, whom they ate a few years later. We all visited him, Shelley, and the kids in Alabama one Thanksgiving with Mom. Thad, Gerard, and I would call our kids the Fabulous Five. Morgan, you had your own fabulous. So we would call him sometimes on a Sunday afternoon when he lived in Fishkill and say, "We're coming for dinner." It was never a problem. We had many Thanksgivings and Christmases together in Rhode Island and New York. We used to do Secret Santa at Christmas, and one year Gerard gave a headshot of himself. So his sense of humor. Hence, you'll see photos inside at the luncheon that we both take, and that's a memory of. One Friday night after Thanksgiving, he single-handedly made 13 pizzas at our house for us and all our friends and kids. So much fun, never too much fun. And the last Thanksgiving the four of us first friends were together was in 2017, after we had lost both Mom and Tommy. Gerard's thanks that year was to his first friends. I will never forget that. We bawled at that table, but we still managed to have fun too. Peter and I managed to have dinner with him in Chicago, so we managed to get to most, but not quite all of the places he lived. And since about the end of 2017, Gerard has been living in Chicago with his wife Gina, her daughter Sam, and their family, who loved him and gave him yet another good home. I know they had a lot of fun with him too. Sadly, the last time I saw him in person was at Megan's wedding in Colorado in June of 2019. We all stayed together for 4 or 5 nights at an Airbnb. Best Uber ride ever. It is hard for me to say that I did not see him again in person. COVID got in the way for sure. So did life, I suppose. And for that, I am sorry, because we certainly would have and should have had tons more fun together. I feel I would be remiss if I did not take a moment today to also honor and thank our dear Marjorie Hall, who we also lost in 2021. She was truly a remarkable woman who was always incredibly good to the McKeowns. Gerard and Marjorie had a special bond too, and also always had a lot of fun together. I had to show this picture, which is Sad Man's Christmas card, where they are so alive and so together and so beautiful. It's just my favorite thing. Anne and her brother John ended Marjorie's eulogy with one of Marjorie's mantras, which she exemplified so well during her lifetime: be kind. My endless memories with Gerard could go on a lot longer, but my 2 other first friends here are about to give me the hook. So, as we all go on with our lives, cherishing our memories of beautiful and wise Kelly, fun and smart Gerard, and kind and remarkable Marjorie, we must always remember to be kind and to have fun in all that we do. Yes, even without them. They would want that for all of us. Our theme or wish for this celebration of Gerard was to be upbeat. We cannot help but be sad too. But as we leave this lovely and gracious church, please join us next door, where you're all invited to a pizza party. The pizza is from Sal's in Mamaroneck and Frank Pepe's in Yonkers, 2 of his favorite places around here. Francesco's is not open for lunch today. We tried to persuade them, but we couldn't do it. We've also made copies of Gerard's pizza dough recipe to share with you next door, so please make sure you get one. We always have a lot of fun making pizzas, or better yet, having Gerard make our pizzas. We will miss that so much, but we hope you have fun making Gerard's pizza dough too. We also have a microphone next door, and we'd love to have Gerard's stories, good, bad, happy, sad. And if you're watching on Zoom, I don't know quite how we would do it, but we'd love to hear them too. And finally, to my dear brother Gerard, that beautiful boy, as Mom would say, and he and Dad love to repeat to each other. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the memories and all the fun. I am so sorry I could not fix this one, and we could not be on this earth together even a little longer. You were greatly loved, and you will be greatly missed. In my world, paradise is now yours. I know you will continue to have fun.
Today I get to be the middle child for a change. And they say that the greatest happiness in life is to love and to be loved. And that quote gets attributed to a lot of people, but it could also be attributed to our brother Gerard. Gerardy was a lover. He was a lover of life, lover of people, lover of his family, especially Maddie and Riley. Lover of animals, of food, of music, and generally, as Dahl said, a lover of fun. As a social animal he was always out there interacting with life. That pattern set in really early. And it might explain, Dahl talked about his time at Georgetown. He had a slightly extended college career. Actually lasted 7 years. He earned a record amount of extra credit at the 3rd edition. Georgetown, where he worked behind the bar.
And it makes total sense that he ended up managing restaurants in California for a while. And then he got into sales, where he had a lot of success. But of course, in sales, in addition to his success, he could travel the world and mingle with friends and share camaraderie and have boondoggles to Cabo. So the guy found a way to always be social and to share fun with people. Gerard was good-hearted to his core. I can hardly think of a time where he was unkind or angry with somebody. He was human, and of course, things could happen. Like all of us, he occasionally forgot how loved he was, and he lost his way. But Gerard's default setting was to connect with people, to get along, and to find and create fun with his family and his friends. Even in tough times, he was never far from a laugh, a song, a meal, a story, a good memory, or of course, a pizza. Dol's already spoken about pizza. We're going to hear a lot about pizza. and I make pizza too, but with Gerard and this congregation as my witness and God, let me once and for all give Gerard 100% credit for the quality of every pizza I ever made. He was my pizza sensei. You need to hear it, Gerard. Okay, you get credit. Because anytime Peter would say, oh, well, Morgan's pizza is better than Gerard's, Gerard would remind us, who taught you how to make that pizza? These last few years have been pretty difficult with his physical challenges and his health. But I really never heard Gerard complain. He was just not a woe is me person. In fact, he seemed like he just went on living in full health, sometimes probably to his detriment. Like his father before him, there wasn't much of an off switch when it came to enjoying the things he loved in life. One of my favorite memories of Gerard in the past few years happened at a backyard barbecue at my house. There were probably a dozen of us there, and say this in the house of God, but I broke out a crude joke book. and I read a couple of them out loud. And then Gerard, Dad, and I took turns paging through the book and reading out loud the ones that appealed to our raunchiest senses of humor. And none of us could get two sentences out of our mouths without absolutely busting at the seams and laughing and tearing up and laughing so hard that we nearly asphyxiated. We could hardly finish the jokes, but it didn't matter because we were having the most epic team crack-up of all time. Now, of course, I can't tell this story without apologizing to another amazing human that Dal mentioned, Marjorie. Marjorie, I'm really sorry. Marjorie didn't really appreciate the humor. But the way I always want to remember Gerard is to picture him with a bright red face, tears streaming out of his eyes, and laughing so hard that he can't breathe. That's my lasting memory. As a family, we've been through some tough times lately. 2 days before Gerard passed, we lost our beautiful, sweet angel cousin, Kelly, who was the youngest and most beloved member of a crazy household of 14 people. It was impossibly sad for all of us, and Gerard and I had many text exchanges. I remember one where he called it soul crushing. Over the next 24 hours, there were all kinds of old family photos being passed back and forth and texted, and one came through of a 4-year-old, me, standing next to Thad and Gerard in their high chair with Gerard on the right side of the photo. And instantaneously, Gerard texted back, "That kid on the right is beautiful." In the midst of all of our grief, he provided a momentary laugh. And at the same time, he threw himself a little love, which was so Gerard. He was such a lover, he wasn't shy about loving himself too. Just another thing we all knew and loved about him. And those are the last words I ever heard from him. I'd like to close with a short reading that captures my deepest wish for Gerard as he passes on to the next domain. It's called The Welcoming. Let yourself relax into this moment. Let yourself be held without any need to hold yourself up. Let yourself meet the unknown. It's okay. It's a place we don't have to know with our mind. What if there were angels all around you and you just couldn't see them? What if there was a love so vast that you could never be apart from it? What if it was impossible for you to go anywhere where this love could not find you? You are entering the beauty not far from your heart. It's a place that embraces you as you are. I trust that you will be met by a welcoming presence that knows you and that meets you with a deeper love than you have ever imagined in this world. May you know, without any doubt, the precious gift that you are. And maybe you be welcomed by a presence so loving that all fear subsides. Rest in peace, my brother. Thank you for the love and joy you brought me and so many others. Thank you for letting yourself be loved. And you were right. That kid on the right is beautiful.
Enough yet? Nope. We got one more. So today is a celebration of God. It's kind of hard to do. You know, I think about his death and I really feel like celebrating. But I guess the key is to think about his life, what he meant to us all, and how he made us feel. When I think that way, I realize I have a lot to celebrate, more than anybody in this room. Think of all the fun we had and all the laughs. Think about growing up together, a great childhood with a great big extended family. I think about Little League and hanging out in Terrence's basement, listening to music, and walking downtown for a slice of Mickey's. As we became adults, we started our separate lives. But I remember getting back together and feeling like we'd never been apart. I think about weekends at each other's houses, cooking and eating great food. I think about camping trips and not catching any fish. I think about raising our kids alongside each other and how they have become best friends. I even think about the not so good times, the more recent struggles that brought him back to live with us for a while. I'm incredibly grateful for that time we had together. I remember a dinner we had around that time. And like we often did, Morgan, Gerard, and I got into the discussion about which one of us was our parents' favorite. There is a clear answer to that question. I'm not going to tell you what that is. Towards the end of the discussion, Gerard said, "I'm no one's favorite but my own." And that was Gerard too. We all had a good chuckle about it. I didn't say it at the time, but I'll tell you all that he was my favorite too. I didn't have to say that to him. There are a lot of things we didn't have to say to each other. It's true what they say about twins, at least for us. There was something special about our relationship. It's not so much that we were alike, but that we knew and understood each other so well. We shared a connection that very few people are lucky enough to experience. It's why nobody could make me madder, and nobody could make me laugh so hard either. Breaks my heart to think that I may never laugh that hard again, and that I will never know or understand or feel someone so completely. That brings me to the poem that Terrence read. Parting is hell. It's the worst kind of hell. So the poet says it's okay to weep. Gerard would agree with that sentiment. Totally appreciate a few tears being shed on his behalf. He liked being thought of and talked about and focused on, and excuse that grammatical choice. He was sometimes a little bit lacking in the humility department. And someone said, "It's good to see you." He didn't say, "It's good to see you too." His response was always, "It's good to be seen." So let's throw a few tears his way and stroke that part of him. But the poem also tells us to sing as well. That was a bigger part of him, maybe the biggest. He found great joy in music. He was like a song himself. He was a celebration. So let's sing and celebrate like Gerard. We're going to walk out of here today to a song I guarantee you've never heard at a funeral or a memorial service. It's a song that Gerard and I made famous once. It's upbeat, it's silly, and it's fun, and it'll put a smile on your face, just like Gerard.
We're going to have a few moments of silence just to let those incredible eulogies wash over us. And after that, Katie and Jack are going to play Broke Down Palace by the Grateful Dead, which the plan had been that they were going to play that at the cemetery this morning as all the family members placed the yellow roses on the grave. The weather got in the way of that.
Rory's going to reprise his role of a page turner. He's played that many times for us in the past, but it will continue today.
Fare you well, my honey. Fare you well, my only true one. All the birds that were singing except you alone. Going to leave this broke down house on my hands and my knees. I will roll, make myself a bed while the water side. In my time, I will roll. In a bed by the water side, I will lay my head, listen to the river sing sweet songs to rock my soul. River, going to take me, sing me sweet and sleepy. Sing me sweet and sleepy all the way back home. It's a far gone lullaby sung many years ago. Mama, many worlds I've come since I first left home. Going home words can tell. Listen to the river sing sweet songs to rock my soul. Very well, I love you more than words can tell. Listen to the river sing sweet songs to rock my soul.
First, I'd like to thank the family for the honor of speaking today. And I think on behalf of all of us, I thank the family, not just for including us in this celebration of Gerard's life, but for really making it Gerard's life. With the music and the poetry that really is who Gerard was. I only met him a few times, but I experienced what his siblings talked about, that he was kind and he was open and he was a lover. You know, a lover is someone whose default is love, whose default is joy, who's open and expansive. And that's indeed how he went through life. We celebrate, as Dad said, we celebrate as we mourn. And the poem which Terrence read really does express that. Parting is hell. And someone said, is it okay to say hell in church? And I said, yes, in this case, it expresses something that's just almost unbearable. And weep if you must, but life goes on, so sing as well. And the family has chosen such amazing music, culled from the many pieces that they and Gerard loved. And a little of the background, the song Two of Us, Paul McCartney wrote it, and he and Linda both talked about the circumstances that they had been driving in a wood and they just pulled off the road. And Linda got out of the car and was walking in the woods, and Paul wrote this. And the line that seemed most fitting for today, you and I have memories longer than the road that stretches out ahead. You and I have memories longer than the road that stretches out ahead. So for each person, but especially the family, there are all these memories that are a source of joy and laughter, but for the very same reason they're a source of joy and laughter, they're also a source of pain and tears. But I think the genius of this is that the memories are longer than the road ahead, because the immediate road ahead, as it has been since November, is very sad, because indeed, Gerard died too soon, too young. And the immediate road is grief. But I think of the words of a friend of mine who lost her husband of many years. And at one point she called me and she said, you know, now when I think of him, I smile instead of cry. So that day will come for each and all of you. But in the meantime, the tears are a testimony. For indeed, the grief is as deep as the love. And as we've heard, and as we've all known, he was very much about love. More lines from that song, two of us riding nowhere, getting nowhere on our way home. That wonderful sense of being lost, but not really being lost. And in the notes, Linda McCartney and Paul talked that she, as a child, used to love to go with her dad, and they would just get in the car and go, and they'd be lost. And Paul said when they would do that, he'd get real worried, and she'd be chill, so to speak. That, you know, well, there'll be a sign at some point. And that struck me about what the little I knew of Gerard personally, but of the family members talking, and again, what we've heard today, that he was lost at times, but as long as you're alive, and as long as you're present, and Morgan said his default was to connect. If that's the default, even if you're lost, you're not lost because you're still alive. And I think one thing all of us can take as we leave this day is to be alive in whatever way that means for us. And if each of us could have our default be to connect with other people, it would make life so much better and in some ways easier. He was open and alive and expansive and welcoming. And the words we heard today about kind and wanting to have fun. And certainly he would have loved the fact that the pizza is happening today. It wasn't possible to make his pizza for today, so all of us have to take that recipe home and continue his pizza ministry. I think we can honestly say that's what it was. And then Places I Remember, written by John Lennon, he said that he was on the bus one day and he was passing places he knew, and he started thinking of a song of all these places he'd been. And he said something like, it began to sound like what I did on my summer vacation. But then the lyrics came to him about the places and the memories. And the memories are always with us. And at some point, I think there aren't good or bad memories, because memories are of someone we loved and the life we shared, and again, about being alive. And then Queen, these lyrics written by Brian May, who I didn't realize this, was an astrophysicist and played with Queen. So reminds me of Katie, a musician and a scientist. Maybe that's something we could all ascribe to or aspire to. And the song is about a group of volunteers who volunteered to go on a one-year space exploration, and they're going to be in outer space for a year, which they are. But because of, I quote, because I have no idea what this means, because of time dilation and Einstein's theory of relativity, they were gone for a year in space, but when they returned, it had been 100 years. So almost everyone they knew had died. The memories of the people were all they had, and yet still they found life. For today, I take your hand in the land our grandchildren knew. So this wonderful sense that the grandchildren have come and gone, but we're still taking hands. And soon that will be read by the children and the children, nieces and nephews will be sharing that. So I hope everyone will come and enjoy the pizza. Not just the actual pizza, but the pizza as such an expression of someone who graced this earth and lived and made such a difference in so many people's lives. And that you will come and share the stories either privately with the family or actually at the microphone, because that is so much a part of anyone's but Gerard's afterlife. And as long as we share the stories and remember him, he lives on. And of course, more than anything, he lives on in his two children, whom he just loves so very much. So parting is hell, weep if you must, but life goes on, so sing as well.
For those of you who don't know, Gerard also loved bagels, and every Sunday morning he would get bagels for his kids, Maddie and Riley, and this is a song he would play in the car with Maddie. So she requested Jennifer June.
of 39, assembled here the volunteers, in the days when the lands were few.
Here the ship sailed out into the blue and sunny morn, the sweetest sight ever seen.
And the night followed day, and the storytellers say that the score of brave souls inside.
For many a lonely day sailed across the milky seas, never looked back, never feared, never cried.
Don't you hear my call, though you're many years away? Don't you hear me calling you?
Write your letters in the sand for the day I take your hand in the land that our grandchildren knew.
In the year of 39 came a ship in from the blue. The volunteers came home from that day.
And they bring good news of a world so newly born, though their hearts so heavily weigh.
For the earth is old and gray, little darling well away. But my love, this cannot be.
For so many years have gone, though I'm older but a year, your mother's eyes from your eyes cry to me.
Don't you hear my call? Though you're many years away. Don't you hear me calling you?
Write your letters in the sand for the day I take your hand in the land that our grandchildren knew.
Don't you hear my call, though you're many years away? Don't you hear me calling you?
All your letters in the sand cannot heal me like your hand. For my life still ahead, pity me.
This moment, you're invited to join with me in the Lord's Prayer. That is up your integrity and spirit. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. God of all, we pray to you for Gerard, and for all those whom we love, but see no longer. Grant them eternal rest. Let light perpetual shine upon them, and may his soul and the souls of all the departed, through the mercy of God, rest and laugh in peace. Amen.
Amen.
God of mystery, Father of mercies, and Mother of comfort, deal graciously, we pray, with all those who mourn, that they may know the consolation of your love. We ask all this in your holy name. Amen. Amen.
Final musical offering is, I'm not gonna sing it, but we'll sing it in a minute. Do I did it, I'm gonna do. Okay. I said it all the time. Anyway, but I want everyone to stand and sing and dance in your place or dance down the aisle.
There she was, just walking down the street, singing to my daily dum do. Clapping her fingers and shuffling her feet, singing to my daily dum do. Look good, look good, look fine, look fine, look good, she look fine, and it was so fine. One makes the beat, singing to my daily dum do.
So love that.
Bring the white stuff as quickly as possible. Don't get delivered from impossible as long as you bring everyone's in steamer are improving against things like tanks and aircraft and the advantage of having those.
He is there somewhere. I don't know, because there he is. Then we had a hockey tournament. My son was playing.
I found a color in the bathroom. Okay, Jack has it.
Oh, green.
No, she's still racing.
Oh, yeah. So that would be great. Oh, yes, too. But who's fencing?
Nobody.
Nobody.
So he's professional. Robert, yeah, Robert.
Oh, my God.
That's
26. You mean motorcycles?
No, cars.
Oh, cars.
And you're on camera.
Mark.
Yeah, Jack, I gave it to Jack.
City, it's
in just a traditional military operation, they've been do what you said, shelling with artillery, with rockets, with aircraft into.
Going outside?
No.
Okay.
We're inside.
Going outside. You should have more. I heard God, that's so good.
Using those.
You guys in Cahill. Cahill would help me with my lab too.
Valorization of fossil fuels to power, collaborative, including others that said it's.
Yeah.
Yes. How come Blue is on? Did you come around?
John's your brother's able to you. Hi, Tara. Hi, John. Hi, Joyce.
Hi, sorry I couldn't be there.
Hi, guys.
Hi,
Embarrassing,
sorry I
really.
couldn't be there.
We can bring it in here.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is your husband, right? Well, I met you like a long time ago. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah. 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 You go right through there. All right, I'm done for me. You look great too. Yeah. I think we met Tommy.
Yes, you did.
You did.
Thank you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
That is. So.
Very nice service.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Good weather, better weather.
Yeah.
Like myself.
Gating up.
Okay, so second.
Yeah. You're fine.
Okay, so you know.
I was hoping. I went to pass on the left and then I was like, no. I went back.
I was sitting there.
Yeah. Wow.
But.
Yeah, I'm
It's
really glad
really
you're here.
nice service.
And then you can come and eat and
Have pizza.
yes.
It's really nice service.
Thank you. I think it was good. Yeah. I think you made it. Very happy with it.
Yeah.
Thank you.